Have you ever wondered if you are being heard when you pray? Or have you ever wondered if God's really there whenever you're sharing with Him the things that are heavy on your heart? And just in the back of your mind, you believe in Him and you trust in Him, but you still hope He really is paying attention to you? I want to tell you what happened to me yesterday. I was getting off from work, and my wife was on her way to work, and we had to pass my daughter back between her and me. So we met in the middle of town, actually at the crossroads of two major highways at a little Stuckey's. And I got out of the car, and she got out of the car, and I gave her a hug and hugged my daughter, and we're passing stuff from one car to the next. When we look up, and there's this lady walking toward us now, and this place is super crowded. There's people everywhere, and there's cars as far as you can see from both directions. And she walks up to us, and she says, "Excuse me," she says, "but are you a family?" And my wife smiled and said, "Yes, we are." And she said, "Well, I'm 82 years old, but I have something that I need to tell you." She said, "I need to tell you to enjoy each other." And I just thought that was just a beautiful message, but yet still you're wondering, why is she telling us this? And she began to tell us about her family, and she introduced us to her husband, and her name was Dotsy, and her husband's name was Tommy. And they were going to see their son, who's been battling cancer for a long time. And she began to tell us about that, and she, and she really, what she was doing was going into this whole session of just witnessing to us about God's providence and about God's love and His care and His being there for them, even when times were tough. And when she told me that her son's name was Ken Walker, my eyebrows went up, and I'm sure I looked at her kind of dumbfounded, and I said, "Well, that's funny, because I've been praying for a man named Ken Walker that has cancer too, but he's 2 hours from here. He's not here. He's up way north from us." And I said, "But he's actually a friend of mine, a relative of a friend of mine named George Fields." And when I said George Fields, she made the same kind of face. And she just looked at us kind of strange. And I said, "Well, yes, ma'am." I said, "He's been updating. George has been updating us on his process, what he's going through with his treatment and his recovery and all the things that he's been dealing with. And we've been praying for him for months, and we've been praying for you too." And that's when it dawned on me that this lady that had come over to minister to us and our family, to tell us to enjoy each other, God turned it around, and He used it to minister to her too. She's wiping tears, and she's even apologizing, saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this." And my wife says, "No, it's okay." And I told her, I says, "But I've been praying for y'all for months, and never met them. No idea who they were whenever they came walking up. Never met Ken, but through my friend George, who lives in Kentucky now, states away, we've been praying for this fellow over the internet, and just praying for him and just lifting him up to the Lord, that God would just be real and close and near to him." And so the more I have thought about that, and the more I think about that now, the more I know that was just a miraculous thing. Ken, I may never see you this side of heaven, but one day I'm going to meet you. And the rest of your family, and Miss Dotsy and Tommy, I want y'all to know that God is real. And He has been hearing your prayers and my prayers. And yesterday, I was even dealing with some stuff, and when you walked over and you told me what you did, God used that in my life. But likewise, you need to know that God loves you, and that there are people that you've never met that have been praying for you for a long time. And yesterday you got that word from a total stranger who knew your name whenever you started telling us who you were. So Ken, when you see this, and I hope you get to see it soon, the rest of the family, George, my friend, what happened yesterday was a miracle, not only for me, but for your family as well. God took all these people just everywhere. It's the Friday before Memorial Day, and there's people everywhere. And God took all these people, and He just parted that water, and He brought a lady straight through to us. And her exact words were, "I felt like I was drawn to come see you." And in her mind, she thought it was so that she could give us a message. But I have no doubt in my mind that God wanted to give her one too. And whatever God is trying to tell you, whatever message you're waiting for from Him, know that He loves you. Know that He is real. He is there. And Ken, we're going to be praying for you. We still are. The rest of your family. Know that God loves you and He hears you and He is there with you and He's close. And hear that from a total stranger that you've never met. But one day we'll meet. You're my brother, Ken. And Miss Dotsy and Tommy, it was a pleasure. And I just can't wait to see what God is going to do in your family. George, I love you. And I hope this brings you a little peace today. God bless.